It is Tuesday, December 13th. I feel like this December, really this whole year, it's just flying by. But it's Tuesday, December 13th, and we're going to be talking 49ers, some injuries, and where the 49ers stack up with the rest of the NFC. I think they should be they're at the top, near the top. Got the Dallas Cowboys. They're playing good football. Philadelphia Eagles. How the 49ers match up with those guys, as well as an injury report with Coach Dezi. Y'all got it, man, right here on San Francisco 49ers Morning Show. Let's go.
Intercepted. It is picked off by Eric Crocker over midfield. He'll run it all the way into the end zone. Touchdown.
Cross Talk TV podcast. Peace.
Welcome to another episode of the San Francisco 49ers Morning Show. I'm your host, former NFL and NFL defensive back, Eric Crocker. And you can find me right there on Twitter at Eric_Crocker. And of course, man, it's Tuesday. So we got injury updates. We got some things we're going to talk about with Deebo Samuel, what it looked like. And we got the lovely Coach Dezi joining us to go over all that good stuff and more. But first, before we get started, make sure if you haven't already, listen to Locked On 49ers with myself, Brian Peacock. Will come at you 5 days a week on any streaming platform, YouTube, wherever you get your podcast. Got Underdog Fantasy. Oh, I came up on Underdog Fantasy again. All right, so what? 49ers game, I came up $200. And last night, I gotta pull this up because I was so excited. I did come up $60. I did come up 60. Well, I guess I netted $30 for the evening. All right. But I missed on this one, which was a $30 play for $600. All right. So y'all can see it. And can y'all is it? Oh, it's not going to zoom in. All right. A $30 play for $600. And Mac Jones, I needed 3 more attempts from Mac Jones, 3 more passing attempts. And I would have got $600. I came up $200 in the 49er game. It was going to be a good week. Hey, $800, I probably would have had enough money to afford a meal at Five Guys. You know what I'm saying? They got the expensive burgers and everything, but, you got $800. It's like, all right, I'll pay for this meal real quick. Shout out to everybody in the chat right now. Hope everybody's feeling good. And, we usually do a wellness check. Haven't done it in a while, but I see the flames coming in. 5 flames there. 2 flames. Darius, that's not enough. Here we go. We got Clyde in the chat. There we go. Looks like everybody's feeling good this morning. Jerry Baker. There we go. Niner gang. Tay. Let's go. All right. Everybody feeling good. We got some good things to talk about with the San Francisco 49ers, but we start kind of with, I guess, good and bad news, right? It's bad news. That could have been worse. So it's essentially good news. And that is Deebo Samuel can potentially return. So kind of just some of your thoughts on, one, the initial injury, and you let me know when you want me to pull the pictures up. I'll pull the pictures up. Okay. All right, but we'll talk about the injury, what it is, and just kind of the timetable that said he potentially can return before the season ends. So just your thoughts on that.
Well, good morning, faithful, and good morning, all my ladies out there and gentlemen. Big game, loved it. I think we all just, the emotional roller coaster. You're like, come on, Brock Purdy, and it was a big moment for him, and watching his family in the stands and then watching Deebo. I mean, you go from one extreme to the other, and then you're kind of back up, but then some way you kind of feel a little guilty about feeling it. But it was an incredible game, and I'm super proud of us. I'm excited to see what's going on moving forward.
So real quick, before we get into Deebo, let's just get your thoughts on Brock Purdy and what it looked like, because I know before you were like, hey, he's a 49er. I'm excited to see him play. I'm hoping he does well. And just some of your thoughts on, just watching him.
Listen, I just had this feeling. I was like, you know what? So right before the game, and I usually don't do this, but right before the game, I posted a picture of my mom and I when we had gone to the Jacksonville game last year. And I just put on there, we rock with Brock. I was like, we're going to ride out. He's going to lead us out there. And and I'm in the Tampa Bay area, y'all. So, I was getting people all sliding up in my DMs and texts and everything. Oh, laughing at me and sending all these, these messages like, go Tampa, go Bucks. And, I had a good time texting everybody back after the game was over.
What do you think about Brock Purdy's nickname? Because I'm not a big fan of it. To me, it's just, I feel like that nickname has kind of been passed down a little too much. So are you familiar with what they're calling him?
Oh, I'm familiar. The one that George Kittle gave him.
Did George Kittle give him that nickname?
Yeah, I think George Kittle.
Okay,
Gave
so
him.
maybe that's why the faithful's going with it. See, I didn't know that. Just
Yeah.
he keep hearing everybody calling that. I'm like,
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah. So it's if it came from George Kittle, I think everybody's kind of like, go with it. But that's where I come
okay.
up. Me personally, I'm like, I rock with Brock. That's gonna be my thing. I don't know that I came up with a nickname, but for you guys, I thought about Brocked on 49ers.
I'll talk to Peacock about that and see if we can we can officially change our name to Brockton 49ers.
Or Locked on Brock. I mean, there's some options out there. There's some options out there.
So just watching them play, what were your thoughts?
He's everything that we saw in the game before. I mean, I mean, kudos to his parents to raise a kid who is so rooted in who he is. Like, you are literally the GOAT is across the way. He's leading this team and you're just out there being you, being authentic. I mean, what a storyline. There's so many great storylines, like the underdog story, the Cinderella story, just looking at him and from a human perspective, looking at someone who, that should be how all of us lives, right? We should all just be so rooted in who we are and just be strong and knowing who we are and where we come from and what we can offer. And I think that's just been, gosh, I just love the storylines. I just love the storylines. I think he's just going to develop. Also, kudos to the coaching staff. Like, someone's been throwing Shanahan and team under the bus. But if you go through QB1 to another QB1, here's our third QB1, and not a lot has rattled the cage. I mean, that's coaching. That's coaching. I think, I don't know if that's, again, Brian Greasy must be doing a hell of a job with those guys for them to all just kind of be able to next man up and just get out there, lace it up and ball out. I mean, I'm impressed, really impressed. I'm going to ride it out. I'm just going to ride it out.
Do you think that not enough attention has been, I guess, directed towards the quarterback coach, Brian Greasy, and what he's done? And I see Bree Marici, mentioned his name in the chat, Brian Greasy. He's done a really good job, and there were a lot of people that were skeptical of the hire. And I came on here and I told people, I think people assume that a quarterback's coach's job is to really like rework a guy's mechanics. And it's like, they have their trainers and their offseason coaches for those type of things. Typically, a quarterback coach, or really any position coach in the NFL, their job is to get you mentally ready and prepared for the upcoming game. Their job is to make sure that you are on the same page with the play caller and that you are able to properly process the information and then distribute that amongst your peers and then efficiently run an offense. Like, that is their main goal. So when they started talking about bringing Brian Greasy in, I think a lot of people are like, oh, well, is he going to rework Trey Lance's mechanics? It's like, well, that's not really his job. His job is to make sure that mentally these guys are prepared. And I think so far, if you look at really kind of all three guys and how they've run the offense, they know where to go. Now, Trey Lance, right, out of all of them, he's probably the one where even if he knows where to go, you might have a miss here and there, right? But as far as, Jimmy Garoppolo, Brock Purdy, it looks like these guys are comfortable with kind of really having an understanding of what they're supposed to be doing. And I do think that a lot of that is a direct correlation to the coaching of Brian Greasy. Do you agree with that sentiment?
I agree. And I think there's a couple things. One, we don't have an OC, correct? We don't have an offensive coordinator.
Correct.
So, right. So I think it's important to have another person in between the quarterback and Kyle. I think it's like roommates, right? You live with someone long enough, you're going to end up, button heads and things are going to happen. But if you have that extra layer, you have someone that now is just a little bit more focused on you as a player and what you're going through and getting your rhythm right and figuring out what you're, how do you bail out of this? How do you bail out of that? This is what's happening. Just kind of helping them work through things. I think that's kind of what most of people who complain about Jimmy Garoppolo, I think that's been kind of their thing, right? Like he doesn't know how to get to that check down where somebody was open, or he kind of panics. He's got those feet where you can just kind of see something coming through, where if you have someone who can kind of coach him through that, get him to that next progression. And then look at what he, before he got injured, he was having a hell of a season. So I'm going to give it to Brian Greasy. I'm going to say, good job. Well done. And good job to those who hired him.
Right. Yeah. And that's one thing I think a lot of people have. You can look at Kyle Shanahan and point at some of the things where you're kind of I don't want to say disappointed, but it's like, not as good there or whatever. People are kind of hard on Kyle. I've been hard on him in the past. I think the hardest I was most displeased with him when they were 3-5 last year.
Yeah.
And they had one winning season in 4 years. You have a season where you're starting off and you're 3-5. I'm like, this is like terrible. Like, come on. And then he got it together. So since then, I give him the benefit of the doubt. So even when they started off pretty, I guess poorly this year, they didn't come out to a hot start. But I was like, this coaching staff, like, dude, they will figure it out. I don't worry about these guys anymore. And clearly, they have. So feeling good about where the 49ers are. We will kind of get into a discussion about where the 49ers are amongst the other teams in the NFC. Got the Cowboys, got the Eagles. They're both playing really good football, both in the NFC East. Outside of that, it's kind of a toss-up around the league. You got the Minnesota Vikings, but when you watch the Vikings, you don't see like this dominant football team. Then they just lost to the Minnesota Vikings, but even before then, it's just like it looks weird when they're playing terrible defense as well. Injuries. First, because we have pictures on Debo, we'll wait on him. Brock Purdy, there's an oblique injury, right? Now, they start talking about oblique. Listen, I took biology in high school. I remember taking it my sophomore year. Now, I took it my freshman year. So I lived in Fresno my freshman year. I went to Sunnyside High School. I took biology as a freshman. When I transferred schools in the middle of my freshman year, I had to take biology somewhere else. So I don't know if I missed some stuff there, all right, in the biology classes, but I don't know where your oblique is. So can you talk to us a little bit about the oblique and kind of how that can maybe cause a little uncomfort or discomfort and pain to a quarterback?
Yeah, so the obliques are in your abdomen, and they connect in from the rib cage down to the pelvis. So they're that big muscle that kind of goes there and then wraps around the side. So it's for your rotational movement, which of course in a QB position, that's where you generate your power, where you generate movement and the ability to throw. So the question is, it's oblique / rib. So, and I understand it happened on a tackle. So I just worry if there's a rib injury in there as well, because even taking a deep breath can be painful. And so I just worry, taking another hit, they got to be really, smart about this. This is our third quarterback,
Right.
And it's hard to understand where the injury is, but that's not fun. I think I heard Brian Peacock talk about his experience with an oblique injury, and it's everything he said. Every time you go to just even turn to get something or go to get up out of a seated position, that's your core muscle. So again, all movement generates from that center core. And if you have an injury there, it just pretty much any kind of movement, coughing, sneezing, breathing, all of that can be tender and painful.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and it's crazy because, obviously I work with athletes and stuff, and I talk a lot about the core. I talk a lot about, your core muscles, your abs, and all those things that, abductors, all those things that kind of go into that, even like the hips and how that, all works together. But I've never thought like, hey, man, your obliques, like those are things you got to get right. All right, so Deebo Samuel, a lot of people came here to listen to about Deebo Samuel and what he's going through with his injuries. And it sounds like there's two different things going on, an ankle and a knee. Talk to us a little bit about that.
So let me go back because for those of you that listen to Locked On 49ers, you heard Brian Peacock kind of ask me the time frame, and I kind of gave a cryptic answer. It wasn't like I just said 4 to 6 weeks because I was still holding out. And I think if you saw what else I texted in that chat, I said, let's wait for the full evaluation because let me show you what I saw. Go ahead and bring up the one of the right ankle. Yes, that's correct. The right ankle. So this is what I saw on the replay.
Is it this one? Nope.
Yes. Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
So
That's the left ankle.
That's his Right, because his left is right here, isn't it?
No, this one is his left. Right? Unless I'm tripping.
Hold on. Let me see. I can't see. I'm going to look at my own and bring it up.
Wait, hold on.
That is his. That is his. That is so his thigh comes down.
Okay.
If you see it right underneath 98, you can see his thigh, and then it goes under 58's arm, and that comes down. So his.
You know, I think I have two pictures. I think I'm looking at the wrong picture. Here we go. Hold on.
So
All right,
this.
yeah, that looks like.
Yeah. So this this happened before the next image. So that was the right. So that's the right ankle being twisted. And then switch to the other view.
All right, here we go. And hold on, guys. Sorry about that. Okay, hold on. Go to the other one real quick. Is it this one? Oh, nope, same picture.
Yep, that's the next one. So
okay.
if you look here, now this is his left leg. So the right ankle.
Wait, so he messed up the right leg and the left leg?
That's what I'm saying. There, I saw. This is why I was like, wait a minute. I need to see how this all shakes out, because the right ankle looked like the inside of the ankle was laying on the ground there as he was heading into the tackle, which is now where you saw his left ankle was hyperplantar flexed. So it went down. And then everybody at home, do this right now. Take your foot, right? If this is your feet, and move your foot out towards your pinky toe. And see where you feel stress in your knee. You should feel stress in your knee on the inside part of your knee where your knees, hit each other. Do you feel that when you put your toes, when you move your foot out towards your pinky toe, do you feel a little something in the knee? Right? So
yes.
Imagine now you have your foot twisted out that way. You're already going to have stress on that inside part of your knee. And then this is how he fell. So that's where I was like, I'm not convinced this is only an ankle injury. I'm actually thinking his MCL got strained. And you can tear an ACL. I mean, that's pretty much how you tear an ACL, is you planted foot and the knee keeps going. Now, it doesn't look like his foot got planted, which was good. So he bent backwards. So plantar flexed, his foot went out, adding stress to that knee. And luckily he kind of rolled back a little bit. So as he rolled back, he's going to probably try to switch and bring his shoulder over. I know unless you see me do this and reenact this, it's hard for me to explain, but I say this to say that is why I was like, I don't want to say 4 to 6 weeks. I want to wait to the full evaluation, because I think there might be more than one problem going on. And now, of course, that's what they're saying. They're saying now it's all in the left ankle and left knee. But thankful that it's not a high ankle sprain. Plantar flexing and everting, that's kind of going to get your tissue in the front of the ankle and that inside part of the ankle. So the deltoid. And so we're thankful, guys. This could have been a million times worse. And I think, looking back on this, it looks kind of bad, but really it's not. He didn't go back as far. It's not a planted foot. It's kind of like, okay, this maybe wasn't as bad. But I think what we all held our breath on is when a cart has to come out to get Deebo Samuel, he's in pain, right? Deebo, look at how many people are tackling this guy, right? When a cart has to come out and get Deebo. So that's why I was like, oh, a cart's coming out to get Deebo. This can't be good. And so again, my initial thought was knee, ankle, ankle. And I was like, man, this could be bad. But we're hearing that this is fantastic news, that there is no ACL. He's got probably a grade 1 MCL sprain, and he's got just a kind of run of the mill ankle sprain, which there's great modalities for that. Good ankle brace, or they'll probably give him a good taping before he's able to hit the field. But they're saying 3 weeks. Maybe. I mean, he must be. I'm hopeful. 3 weeks. I would like to just, I would like him to hold out. Let's bring him out in the playoffs. I would think that they're just going to kind of, hey, let's just hold this guy until we're absolutely sure he's good to go, is what I'm hoping. This would kind of be like the scenario if we had never brought Christian McCaffrey on, we would only have Debo, right? So now Christian McCaffrey can kind of fill that Debo void, and it'd be like we still only have one of the two players, which is what we have.
So this is the first picture I was looking at. So when I was telling everybody, I'm like, oh, it's his left leg, because I had the other picture put up on the screen, but I'm looking at on my screen this picture here. So I'm like, oh, it's his left leg. And you're like, oh, no, it's his right leg. And I see the chat, they're like, Croc, you're tripping. That's his right leg. And I'm like, what are y'all talking about? I'm looking, it's his left leg. And lo and behold, he has injuries to both legs. I did not know that. I didn't know that. So,
well, they didn't announce it either. They didn't announce it.
Oh, okay.
They only said the left leg. So I'm just showing you guys what I saw. And I was like, wait a minute, like there's multiple things happening here. So they only announced that it was the left leg, which, could there just be, maybe it's something so benign on the other leg that it's, and this is the thing too, because when he fell down, he grabbed his knee. And so all of us were like, it's the knee. So it kind of was like when they said high ankle sprain, I'm like, well, you can have what's called referred pain. So the injury happens in one part of the bone or area, and it can travel up that bone. So it's like, yeah, if it's a high ankle sprain, it can radiate up the tibia and fibula and hit kind of like that, make you think there's a knee pain. But he really kind of grabbed the knee, which is why I was like, are we sure there's not an MCL or something going on in the knee? And then, it's just, you've got to wait till it's done, because you can have pain so much in one area that you miss an injury somewhere else. That happens, unfortunately. But you're just so focused on one injury that, hey, you forgot that, this is broke or this happened. I mean, this happens in car accidents too, where you get multiple injuries coming in, but the one that's, fracture dislocation takes all the attention, and then you miss, the ankle fracture that they had too, or something like that.
Yeah, it looked bad, and like you said, you see them getting carted off the field, and not just carted off. It's the whole thing where everybody surrounds him, puts their hands on his shoulder. He puts his head in the towel. He's emotional about it. I'm like, oh gosh, like not again. And I think it was the performance of Brock Purdy that kind of distracted us from that. I feel like maybe if there was another quarterback there, you kind of would have felt the brunt of missing Deebo Samuel a little more. But obviously, the 49ers are much better with him on the field than they are with him off the field. So hopefully he has a speedy recovery and is able to come back and be healthy for a playoff run. So that kind of leads me to, the last question I'll ask you about is, I don't know how much of the rest of the NFL you've watched, but you got the Philadelphia Eagles. They're cooking. You got the Dallas Cowboys. I know the 49ers are number one in damn near every defense statistic goal category. But when you watch the Dallas Cowboys play, their defense is typically moving pretty fast. And they kind of had a low game, a weird game against the Houston Texans. That was a really weird game. But that was kind of, it looked like them maybe playing down to their competition, because the Cowboys I've seen as of late is a team that's typically pretty humming. So what's your outlook on maybe just the NFC, the NFL, or 49ers chances, right? Because right now the goal is Super Bowl. Everybody wants to win that Super Bowl. What are your thoughts on just where the 49ers are?
I rock with Brock, man. And plus, I think our defense is just, it's on a whole other level. And I mean, our offense practices against them. I think that's a good opportunity for us to improve on the offense, continue to get settled in with Brock. I think we're right there. The Eagles is probably the only team in the NFC that I feel, they're just a well-oiled machine, and they have not really had any kind of mishaps. They've played a very clean season. I don't know that they've had very many injuries, and Jalen Hurts is just an exceptional athlete. So how much of Jalen Hurts have you watched, like from, I don't know how much of college football you watch, but if you watch some of college football, him kind of early on, because there were a lot of people, including me, that thought, this guy looks like a running back when he was at Alabama. And then you watch him go play at Oklahoma, and you see him throwing the ball better, but even then it's still like, maybe I have my mind made up. Nah, he's a running back. And then he gets drafted second round to the Philadelphia Eagles, which was very interesting specifically at that time because they had another quarterback by the name of Carson Wentz. So I'm like, yeah, Carson Wentz, and you draft a quarterback second round, like that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, especially a guy who I think is a running back.
And then he comes in, he plays that year, and it looks, has some moments, and then it looks weird. And he, late in the year, gets benched for Nate Sudfeld. I know 49er fans are very familiar with Nate Sudfeld. Then he goes on last year to start the entire season, and they really built this offense around his skill set and what he does well. And they end up going to the playoffs, even though they got blown out by Tampa Bay in the wild card round. But now, I mean, he looks like a better version of the running back that I thought he would be, right? Like, he's making enough throws. He's playing with timing and rhythm. He has terrific receivers that he's just distributing the ball to, and he just looks so comfortable. But what are some of your thoughts on Jalen Hurts and how he's been playing?
I did not watch it. I don't watch college ball, mostly because, mom of 2 teenage boys, I'm often somewhere else watching other games. So, and plus I went to school in North Carolina. So basketball, college hoops is our thing in North Carolina. So moving to Florida was kind of like it was weird because, no one played, the tournament, the brackets. No one did that when I moved here. It was 20 years ago before Florida got hot.
Yeah.
So no, I don't.
Real quick, North Carolina, they have a young quarterback, might be the #1 overall pick next year, Drake May. So make sure you just keep an eye on May at your alma mater. But go ahead.
Okay. And so I did watch something on him though, where they, it was him and Donovan McNabb talking about him, and it was going through his history in college and then into the NFL. And apparently there's kind of been something special about this kid back then. I mean, I don't know how many people had him on the radar. It doesn't sound like many because, what you just said is kind of what I've heard about him. But I've only paid attention this year, and it looks, I mean, again, is that the coaching staff? Is that, what was that switch that finally turned on? But he's just amazing.
So they had a coach there with Doug Peterson, and he's a pretty good coach, right? Doug Peterson won a Super Bowl with the Philadelphia Eagles. This season that he won the Super Bowl was very interesting year. You have Carson Wentz, who was having like an MVP caliber season. He gets hurt late in the year. You have to play a backup Nick Foles, right? So it's kind of drawing some parallels to a 49er situation where you go from one guy to another, and it's like, okay, can this guy keep the team afloat? And not only does Nick Foles keep the team afloat, they go to a Super Bowl and they win it, right? And Nick Foles plays out of his mind. That was probably the best that we'll ever see Nick Foles play. I mean, he was amazing in that game. Not quite the same quarterback since, but Doug Peterson won the Super Bowl. And then after that, Carson Wentz just kind of imploded. He was not, from all reports, I don't know him personally, but he was not a very likable person. He clashed with his head coach. There were even some reports coming out that during that season, he stopped talking to his coach around like week 10. And his coach is like the offensive coordinator, but he just stopped talking to him completely. And he ended up being benched.
That's never a good thing.
He ended up being benched for Hurts. And then they just deactivated him. So it was like, okay, we got to trade him. So when Hurts got benched in that last game for Nate Sudfeld, Carson Wentz was on the team and healthy. They just were like, you're just not playing. So it became a really bad situation. But Hurts kind of played through that whole thing. Well, after that season, their head coach, Doug Peterson, got fired. Maybe with how he handled that whole thing. But we're talking about a guy who was maybe 2 years removed from a Super Bowl, ends up getting fired. In comes this guy, Nick Sirianni, who people are like, oh, Nick Sirianni, what, head coach? And it's been good. And I think he's had a terrific plan for Jalen Hurts. They've been all about him. They've been all in on what they had to do to build around him. And he has a really good work ethic. I've talked to a quarterback coach who works with Jalen Hurts and says between him and Trey Lance, those are two of the best guys that he's ever been around as far as just how they are. And you see that work ethic really take hold when you look at how Jalen Hurts has progressed, heading into year 3. So it's really been fun to watch it.
Now, when he says two of the best, you mean two of the best just from an athletic standpoint? Because I just feel like the leadership.
No, best humans.
Best humans. Got it. So I was going to say Trey Lance, I think that's the, I don't like to do comparisons too much, but, when you look at Brock Purdy, I mean, his leadership style, because he's played so much football, I think is just a little bit of an edge over Trey. I hope Trey's watching this, and I hope he's learning from it. I hope he understands how to command, being that captain of the team, being that leadership position. I think that'll be interesting to see what he gets from, being around this moment for Brock.
I think you can see it, but there's like you can tell him like, all right, yeah, this is how you lead, right? But there's this element of really having to go through it and really get to feel that, for a year. Like Brock Purdy, I mean, he was probably a leader for how many years at Iowa State?
Yeah.
So you can have leadership qualities, which Trey Lance has, but if you've never truly had to be the leader, then it is going to be a little foreign, especially at the NFL level when you are still, Trey Lance is the youngest quarterback in the NFL. There is not a quarterback in the NFL younger than Trey Lance as far as his birthday goes. And you have to now, lead men who you got guys like Trent Williams, who's like 35 years old.
Yeah.
Like that's tough. Think about when, you were 22 years old, or I think back when I was 22 years old. Obviously I didn't have the keys to a 49ers organization, but like, dang, I got to be the leader of this. And I've never done it before as opposed to Brock Purdy, who, well, he's been the leader at Iowa State. So this, coming in and being demanding of his teammates and things like that, like that's not foreign. If I'm Brock Purdy, it's like, that's not foreign to me. I've been doing this for the last few years, making sure guys are doing what they're supposed to be doing on time, sharp, focused, paying attention, the coach calling me to be this guy, team captain, etc. Having to be that guy. So yeah, it's I don't think it's a coincidence that those are some of the things that are shining from Brock Purdy, because like I've had to do this for several years now.
Yeah, but they're close enough in age where I think Trey can then say, like, maybe Trey didn't feel like, oh, maybe he's so aware of his age and lack of, experience that he's kind of like, I don't know if I can do this. Like he's maybe having a hard time feeling it out because he's like, gosh, he does feel that way. Brock comes in, he's like, I don't care, I'm 22, I'm running this show. And so maybe that gives Trey a little bit of ability to be like, you know what, he did it. Okay, maybe I can, just seeing someone your own age, just be able to step into that and just step into that power and just take it out there. I think it's, again, I hope Trey kind of just picks up on, you can do that. That is, whatever leader you think you're going to be, it is okay to go out there and command that. So that's what I hope.
And similar in age, but he's missing that, like, because Trey Lance, and now it's like, okay, like another year. He hasn't played a season since he was 19 years old. So, yeah, he's 22, like Brock Purdy, but it's not the same type of 22 because Brock Purdy has been playing the whole time, as opposed to a guy who had to miss a year because FCS was like, oh, we're not going to play during this COVID year. We're going to wait till the spring to play a season. And Trey's like, dude, I'm supposed to be getting ready for this season so I can get ready for the draft. They're like, nah, you're not. You're just not playing. So the only time that he had an opportunity to lead was as a redshirt freshman, which most of the time, like, even in college, there's been guys, especially at North Dakota State, guys have been there 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And those are just things that he will have to learn for him how to do it. Because you can't be fake about it. You can't watch Brock Purdy and how Brock Purdy does it and how his teammates respond to him and then try to duplicate that. Like, you as a leader have to be you. And everybody's going to lead different ways. So we'll see what he picks up on how he takes command and then his own flavor that he puts on that. And that's going to be something fun to watch.
Yeah, that'll be that. We just need to get him out there. We just need to get him out there playing and, let him feel it out and figure it out.
Well, all right, Coach Dezi, it's been fun having you on. I appreciate you coming on and talking ball with us. And we'll do this again next week. We'll see next week because I'll be traveling to California. Oh, go ahead.
One fun fact. I did reach out to Will. Will reached back out. He threw javelin in Australia back in the day. He was a javelin thrower.
Oh, I like it. Okay. So that was one thing that you were trying to draw that parallel to your son, and you were like, the motion of it and throwing and everything. And that's pretty okay.
Just put that back out there that, hey, it worked out. So we'll see if there's some kind of connection, some kind of coaching I can get him. But thank you for that. I just wanted to make you aware to, say thank you for connecting the dots there.
I know, and we'll have him back on. I'm pretty sure he's a big fan, obviously, of Brock Purdy. He trained him, and he went through that whole process with Brock Purdy. So I'm pretty sure it was fun having him on before the actual game and getting to watch him and just getting to pick his brain about Brock Purdy, and then a lot of things he was saying about Purdy you get to see on the field come to fruition. So that was really exciting. And as the season goes on, maybe come playoff time. 49ers win, they lock up a playoff spot. So come playoff time,
When the
we'll have him
49ers
back on the
win.
show.
When the 49ers win. We gotta correct this. Gotta put that positivity out there, Croc.
Yeah, there we go. All right, Coach Dezi.
All right,
Appreciate
guys,
you coming on.
thank you.
All right. Shout out to Coach Dezi coming on. Excited for everything that she does and brings to the show. Definitely a different perspective. Love having her on. And I love that the women in the chat can kind of, it's like, okay, they have someone they can relate to, right? Because I'm pretty sure a lot of y'all can't relate to me with this beard and everything. I got a few minutes here. We'll go to the chat and talk about the things that y'all want to talk about. I see kind of what's going on in the chat right now. But go ahead, click the link. Come on live. I'll bring on a few people. If I see a bunch of people pop in, then we'll have to go 2 minutes. And then, because, how I can get sometimes. So, yes, always fun. Always fun. Good work bringing Coach in. Yeah, that was a fun show, huh? And a lot of people watched that. A lot of people watched that episode. Obviously, that was we do Tuesday evenings with myself, Greg Pinelli. We should be on tonight, and I'll make sure that Greg has a bunch of throws from Brock Purdy. I know a lot of people were upset. We only had 3 or 4 throws from the last game, but he had a busy day. We'll make sure that we get a lot more in today and make sure we please the people in the chat, man. Make sure we please all y'all. That's what we set out to do. We got some people clicking in right here. First up, man, we got our guy, JB. JB, good morning, man. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing good. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Got you loud and clear.
Okay, I just want to start off. I want to thank Brock Purdy for all that he's been doing, stepping up. But it's this fan base. I think it would be a great idea to keep Brock Purdy and Trey Lance. No matter the outcome of this season, no matter Super Bowl or not, I think it'll be a great idea. But we seen last year, Texans game, correct? Second half, when Kyle started calling plays for Trey Lance, downfield plays, almost the same play calling that he's doing with Brock Purdy, Trey Lance hit those throws. Trey Lance made the read. Trey Lance did his job. He won the Texans game where we needed to win that game to get to the playoffs. So everybody's trying to say he's a bust. Okay, I understand that. It doesn't matter. But I would rather have 2 QBs than 1, especially with our old linemen and the things we've seen these last couple years with Jimmy Garoppolo. And that's all I really have to say today.
All right. Thanks for coming on, JB. And I think essentially what JB's saying, which I haven't seen too much of. Well, you got your what do we call them? Radical fans? Like you have your extremist fans are like, trade everybody, Brock Purdy is the guy, right? You got those fans, and then you have some people that come a little bit more logical with their thinking on the situation, which is, hey man, write this season out. See what you got. Okay, Brock Purdy, he's cooking. Okay, then you have potentially some type of camp battle, and that's okay. Now we do have Mr. 49 problems, and he says if it's a battle, it's Brock Purdy's job. But I want to ask you real quick before we get in, or you go ahead get whatever take you have, and then I have some follow-up questions for you.
No, I'm just here to cook with you, my guy. I'm ready for it.
All right, so just the 49ers, where do they match up in the NFC? You got the Dallas Cowboys. They're playing some pretty good football. Not their best performance against the Houston Texans, but overall they've been pretty dominant for most of the season. You have the Philadelphia Eagles, 1 loss on the season. They've been pretty damn good. So, they're kind of destroying teams in their path. Where do you think the 49ers match up?
I feel like we could beat anybody, but the teams that give me fear in my heart, especially going to Philadelphia in the wintertime. I know we beat Aaron Rodgers in Lambeau. We've done that several times, so there's precedent for it. But we never play Philly. It's rare that we play them. And it's always hard to beat a team that you don't play very much that's also supremely talented. So they have a quarterback that not just we would have a hard time stopping, but everybody. I mean, whenever you play the MVP, I mean, chances are good that you're going to lose in the playoffs when you're playing the MVP, especially if you're playing them at home. They have a well-built team around them. It's kind of quarterback we kind of struggle with. It's mobile that could kind of, when you have linebackers like ours, you know, when you could kind of trick the eyes, I think, you know, they got an innovative young coach. So I feel like Philadelphia Eagles strike fear in my heart. I know everyone's going to shit on the Cowboys. They're just the Cowboys, but realistically, I don't want to play them either. I think in a perfect world, one of those teams takes each other's out, like Philadelphia and Dallas. They're like in the same division. Let them beat each other up. Maybe one of them eliminates the other one. I think that would be great. Minnesota doesn't scare me, but literally any team that wins that many games is because they're good, so they can beat you, you know? So we're going to have to beat somebody good. I'd rather it be a team that we have already beaten. I think, you know, Minnesota would be ideal. If we play Minnesota, it's in a dome more than likely, right? But, yeah, I think the Niners are right up there at the top. If I had to rank them, I would probably put them, like, right there with the Cowboys or maybe third just behind the Cowboys.
All right, so you're saying 49ers are third right behind the Cowboys?
If I had to go on the record, I would have to put us ahead of the Cowboys, but my heart says ahead, but my mind says we're probably right behind them. So I would say third. If I was being a neutral fan, I would say we're third in the NFC. I mean,
and being third, not the worst thing, because clearly on any given day, 49ers can go out there and beat the Cowboys or beat the Eagles, right? They're playing their A game.
Absolutely. And I think the main thing about the Cowboys and the Vikings, dome teams. The scary thing about Philly, on top of how good they are, I mean, damn, they have one loss and the season's almost over, is going to Philadelphia this time of year. I mean, I know it's going to be brutal for them too, but brutal plus the home field advantage, plus, you know, the crowd noise, cold, Mr. Irrelevant, regardless of how well he's playing. I mean, that's just a tough task to ask anybody.
So here's what the 49ers need then. All right, let me pull up their schedule. I'll pull up the 49ers schedule and I'll pull up the Vikings schedule, because I think that's the team right now. Because 49ers, if I'm not mistaken, are third, right?
I think the Vikings have one fewer loss than we do, and then the Cowboys, and then the Eagles.
But the Cowboys don't matter, because Cowboys and the Eagles are in the same division. So
that's right.
No matter what, they can't become the second seed. So that's what you're fighting for, so that you don't have to go to Philly until potentially an NFC Championship game. And again, we are talking about stuff way far ahead, right? You still got to win out this season, but just kind of putting yourself in position to do that, right? Like, that's the goal, right? Put yourself in position to potentially be the 2 seed. So yeah, you don't have to play some of those big dogs. But all right, here we go. The Vikings, gosh,
they got it good.
All right, they got the Colts. They got the Colts this week. Now, again, I mean, they just lost to the Lions. They squeaked out a win against the Jets. They squeaked out a win against the Patriots. They got destroyed by Cowboys 40-3. Cowboys just demolished them, right? They should have lost to Buffalo. The Buffalo fumbled on the 1 yard line trying to take a knee when Vikings had no timeouts, and Vikings recovered it for a touchdown. Like, you know what I'm saying? So,
you're saying potentially the Vikings could be like a 6-loss team already.
They could. Now they won those games, so we can't hold that against them. But moving forward, they have the Colts. I would say that they're favored in that game. They got the Giants.
Probably by 5 points.
Right, and they're at home. So they're at home against the Colts. They're at home against the Giants. Now, they do go on the road against the Packers. And the Packers are still very competitive. And that's
a divisional game.
That's a divisional game. And we'll see if Rodgers is playing. Are they out of the playoff hunt? You know, all that type of stuff. And then they finish with the Chicago Bears on the road. And Chicago has been very competitive. Can they beat the Vikings? Let's see who won the matchup earlier. Vikings won by 7 earlier in the year. So,
hey, Justin Fields can beat any team in the league. I don't care how trash their team is. Justin Fields single-handedly could just, like, you know, I know they lose a lot of games, but He makes
He
them
makes
a
it
scary
competitive.
team on the schedule. Yeah, exactly.
He makes it competitive. Now you look at
Right.
the 49ers schedule, and it's a very winnable schedule. Your toughest game probably on a short week going to Seattle, playing them Thursday night, Geno Smith and those guys, and obviously we saw what the 49ers did to them early in the year. You're gonna have to do it again, and this is gonna be Brock Purdy's first time kind of being, not saying that he's gonna be like uncomfortable, but going into an environment that is probably going to be a little bit more hostile than what he's seeing, right? Super
Right.
loud. They're going to be
Right.
rocking Thursday night football. 49ers coming in. 49ers win the game. They win the division. Like, there's so much at stake on the line. Like, that crowd, I can only imagine is going to be rocking, right? It's going
They're
to be
gonna be
rocking.
ready
So,
for sure.
yeah, they're going to be ready. And they just came off of a tough loss. I think Seattle's going to be rocking. They're going to bring it. So you got them, and then you got at home, you play the Commanders. I think that's a favorable game for the 49ers.
Agreed.
And then New Year's Day, you play the Raiders.
My
In
brother's
Vegas.
team. If we don't win any more games this season, we gotta win that one. My brother's a Raiders
Right,
fan.
my brother's a
and-
Cowboy fan. So I know the feeling. And then the 49ers finish up with the Arizona Cardinals at home. And
With
obviously
no
they just
Kyler
lost
Murray.
Kyler Murray for the year. Right.
Right.
So favorable, I say both the 49ers and the Vikings have favorable matchups down the stretch. Not saying that they're going to win at all or win out,
Right,
but
right.
just if you were to kind of make up like how you want the schedule to end for you to finish in a better seed, I'd say both the 49ers and the Vikings have that favorable matchup. So it's on both of those teams to kind of not.
Let me ask you this
lose down the
question,
street-
Croc. Let me ask
down the
you this.
stretch.
You know how when you're going into the NCAA tournament in college basketball, like every once in a while there'll be one of those undefeated teams. They're like 18-0, and people be like, "Well, is it good that they lose before they go into the tournament?" Because it's like after every win, the odds increase that you're going to lose. So we're on a 6-game win streak right now, and I'm like, is it better to lose a game, one of these games? Obviously, it's not better because we're fighting for the top seed, but for the big picture. So then we could try to get another 5-win streak going, which would take us to the Super Bowl, or going to the playoffs, let's say, with a 10-game win streak when you're like, damn, like nobody ever wins 13 or 14 straight games. So, and especially when the level of competition is increasing after every week. So is it better, or at least a silver lining? I think, should we lose one of these games, maybe we don't get the 2 seed, we end up wherever. But the silver lining, I would write it today, headliner, like maybe it was better that we lost. So then Fred Warner could come out again and say, hey, let's get this streak going. We've been here before. Let's start another win streak. Really, we only have to win 5 games and we're the champs or whatever.
I would say, how did they finish the year in 2019? Because I feel like they, down the stretch, won a bunch of games.
I think you might be right about that, but my memory fails me.
But I'm trying to think back to that year. No, because who they played down the stretch?
We beat Seattle
they
late, right? We beat Seattle late to like clinch the number 1
That was
seed.
the last game of the season.
Okay, so I know
they beat the Saints late in that year. Now they did lose to the Ravens late in that year.
Oh, that was a close game. We lost to the Ravens too, and they were really good that year.
Yeah, they were really good.
We went in with hella momentum, regardless of what our streak was. We had momentum for sure. And Drake Greenlaw, if the Niners win the Super Bowl that year, that play Drake Greenlaw made at the goal line with Fred Warner like right to his right, making sure that ball didn't cross even after the whistle blew, that would be the greatest play in 49er history, I think.
Yeah, no, that was a crazy. I actually was a part of writing a book about that season, but we wrote the book kind of as it was ending and was preparing it to. It was like more so like the regular season, and he was gonna add the stuff about the Super Bowl, and then they lost, and it just made the book like go to shits.
Fuck, I don't watch no highlights.
Like it's still a book. I have a copy somewhere. Like
I
am technically an author of a book. I have a chapter in there, so that's pretty cool. But
hey man, I don't watch no highlights from that season. It just hurts my heart. I need a Super Bowl in my life.
Yeah, I don't watch highlights. I don't watch. I still have not watched back the. Anytime 49ers losing the playoffs, I don't watch the game back. So
no, hell no. You got to be a hell of a man to do that. To watch a team lose that is your favorite team, like you are cut from a different cloth. I can't do it. I can't watch basketball highlights and my Bulls lose all the time from a loss.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's funny shit.
But all right, man. I appreciate you coming on, bro. It's nice chopping it up with you.
Hey, always a pleasure, my guy. Y'all be easy.
All right. All right. We got some super chats here. Been meaning to get to these. My apologies, y'all. All right. First, we got Tia. Says, I wish we would stop comparing Trey to Jimmy and Brock. Trey hasn't played that much football. Experience has to happen. We keep rushing for these guys to be great overnight. Please give it time. I would say I have to stop doing this. My initial thought is to give an answer to like please the 380 people watching right now, right? Like that's my initial thought. Not to please, but just to kind of like make it into a way to where it's like, where I'm not like taking a side. But yeah, I think it is kind of bullshit that people, don't truly, how can I explain this, man? There's a lot that goes into being good, and there are a lot of people that aren't willing or never had to go through anything to get to that point. So they don't even understand like the things with Trey Lance and like the potential of what he has. They don't care about that. All it is what's going to help us right now. So if they see somebody else that can like, oh, well, this person could be better right now, well, just do away with all, anybody that even could take this team potentially further. Like they don't care about that. It's about right now. And there are a lot of people that can't see past today. So that's the issue. Now, my mind just works different. I talk all the time about different business things I'm getting into or that I'm doing. And a lot of it is projection. You can lose money, you can make money, whatever the case is. But I'm all about, okay, how does this have to play out? And what's the process? What's the timeline of it? And I'm willing to go through that. So when I see somebody like Trey Lance who, hey, there's a lot that he has to learn, I'm okay with that. There are a lot of people that just aren't. So I can't fault them for not understanding how to go through stuff. You know what I'm saying? I can't fault people that don't understand the process of development, because maybe they haven't had to go through that in their personal lives. Because if they had, then I think they'd understand more about like what's going on. But if you don't have to, then you don't have to. So that's kind of my thoughts on that. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, I'll explain it again. I don't want to, but is Jamal Adams playing Thursday? I saw something where he was like walking around on the December 9th. I searched it up when you posted this, Bomber T. December 9th, he was walking around. I don't know what he's been doing since then. He was at the facility, but he was in street clothes. But I haven't seen anything too new on it. If we win Thursday, would you be content with the third seed? Would you rest starters? Third seed would have the Cowboys and Eagles play round 2 and possible NFC championship game. I would say you try as hard as you can to get the second seed. Now maybe it gets to a point where it's kind of locked up and you can lose, win, and it's not going to matter. It's not going to move you up or down. Then at that point, then yeah, go ahead, rest the starters. But if you can get that second seed, get that second seed. Because not only will you get that home game in the wild card round, you'd also get guarantee you that home game in the second round, as opposed to potentially losing or being the third seed. And third seed, there's a chance that you have to play an away game in that second round. And you don't want that. Just stay at home. Stay at home. So, yeah, if you can get that second seed, get the second seed. Good thing if we play the Eagles or Vikings. Brock played in very cold Iowa State for 4 years. Yep. He's going to be very, very, very familiar. Very familiar with the with the cold weather. Very, very familiar. And there's something to that, just understanding how to deal with it, how to handle it. I think there is something to that for sure. 49ers fans, please enjoy, you have two young good quarterbacks. I mean, I'll say this. I mean, you don't know how good Trey Lance is. We don't know. But again, I just talk about understanding like the development curve of some of this. And there's some people that understand it, some people that don't. That's fine. That's fine. But anyways, man, appreciate everybody that tuned in to the show today, man. It's always fun. Always fun to interact with everyone. I welcome differing opinions. Of course, y'all know that. Y'all know that. I welcome differing opinions. So you have an opinion that differs from mine. Come on, I'm all good with that. I'm all good with that. But I don't know. First and foremost, I'm a 49er fan, so that's all that matters. Shout out to Brock Purdy, man. He's doing his thing, and it's really fun to watch him play. And he has this, and my guy Brian Peacock said it last night, kind of this Tony Romo to him. And I think that's pretty fun to watch. I like Tony Romo. I like Tony Romo. So, hey, man, you know what, Bomber T? We might have very similar views on the quarterback position. Mine has tweaked over the last few years because I see some of these scenarios where how guys come out of it, and it's just not an overnight thing. So I think that's probably the difference in our opinion. There is I've kind of adjusted. Not saying you got to adjust or anything, but I think it's I've kind of adjusted to some of the things I've seen over the last few years, and saying, oh, okay, I see that how this guy progressed, and okay, so this didn't happen overnight. And I think there are other people that are like, nah, I don't want to go. So I think that's the only difference. But I think in the sense of probably the same things that you're viewing in Brock Purdy or Jimmy Garoppolo, like I view those same things. I think the same things that you see in Trey Lance, I probably see a lot of the same things as well. I think the only difference is I just see, well, what about this? What about this? What about this? What about this? Because I've seen enough of the things that he does. So I think that's the only difference in our opinions or views on the quarterback position. Does that make sense? I think that see if that makes sense for you. But yeah, that's the difference in our views. I think we view it very similar. But I just talked about Jalen Hurts and thinking Jalen Hurts was a running back. I thought he was a running back. He's not a complete quarterback. Even at Oklahoma, it still was like, shit, that doesn't look like what I think, the quarterback position is supposed to look like. And even his rookie year, this doesn't quite, it's weird. He got benched for Nate Sudfeld, right? Like I saw those same things. Even last year, it was like, it looked, I can't really throw like that. Then you watch him this year, and it's like, damn, he might be MVP, right? So, like, those are the things right there where I have just over the year, because I see things like that, or a Josh Allen, or a Dak Prescott, right? Like, I watched Dak Prescott at Mississippi State, and it looked kind of, weird. And you watch him his rookie year at Dallas Cowboys, and they took a lot off his plate, and he did very well. After that, it wasn't very good, right? Year two, go look at year two, Dak Prescott was not great. Was not great at all. And then it was like, okay, I'm watching him. I'm making fun of him, talking to my brother, like, oh, y'all quarterback sucks, blah, blah, blah. Jimmy Garoppolo better than him, et cetera, blah, 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 like trash. And then you continue watching, you're just like, okay, like Dak Prescott can play. He just had to go through some things. So I think that's the difference. That's the difference in how we view. I just look at all these other guys and how just some of them, it took a few years. Others, it was, could be right away. So that's the only difference. Croc, Super Bowl windows open and shut quickly. This team was one stop and 5 minutes away from potentially 2 Super Bowls with Jimmy. An upgrade at QB makes sense, but not 3 years from now. Hey, it might not have to be 3 years from now. I like, you don't know. That's the thing. You can project how long something potentially might take for this and that, but at the end of the year, you don't know. I know this. I am all about what puts the 49ers in the best chance, in the best position to be able to get that one stop or whatever, right? Like that one score, that one extra first down, like that one extra play. What puts them in the best position to have the guy that does that? Because we are all mostly 49er fans in this chat. And I would say that, a lot of us don't vividly remember the 94 Super Bowl, right? I'm 35 years old. And I'd say there's probably a lot of y'all within give or take 5 years, right, in age, right? So I bet there's a lot of 30 to 40-year-olds in this chat right now, right? And so I was born in 87. That Super Bowl was 94. So we're talking about 7 years old, 6, 7 years old. Like I was hella young, right? So since then, the 49ers have been trying to figure out how to win a Super Bowl. And they've been good. I remember shortly after, like I remember the Garrison Hurst and going to the NFC Championship game against the Falcons. And like I remember those things extremely well. I don't remember the Super Bowl as well. So we're talking about how many years of trying to like watch your team win a Super Bowl. So when we talk about Super Bowl windows, clearly I ain't got nothing but time. The better your quarterback is, the better the more that window is a little bit open. All right. That window is a little more open. And how do you get in the position where your quarterback gives you a better chance to do it? You know, being able to make those certain plays to where now you do win the Super Bowl. And I think I might be more patient than the fans to get to that point, right? So I think a lot of people focus on right now, and what's going to give the 49ers the best chance when you get there to win. Who brings more value now, Kinlaw or Trey? Kinlaw. Kinlaw brings more value than Trey Lance right now. Just because there is still a lot of unknowns. Listen, y'all remember last year, I was saying Trey Lance played well against Houston Texans. People, he got to play against the Rams. I'm like, no, go to Jimmy Garoppolo. Right? Like, you know, that's what the moment was. I think right now you got Brock Purdy. He's playing well. Shore up that defense. Shore up that defensive line if you can. You know, and Trey Lance, you know, he'll have his shot, whatever competition, whatever in the offseason. You know, but, you know. Now, maybe, I don't know. Maybe Trey is just tough. We ain't seen enough. So, I don't know. Maybe Trey comes in and lights it up. I don't know. I haven't seen him just do that on a consistent basis. So, you know, I've seen him make plays, but, you know, I don't foresee that being the case. So, yeah. Trey moves slow. He can't avoid the hits. His accuracy, Trey's agility is stiff in the NFL level. I'd say I probably disagree with that. But we can agree to disagree. I'd say that he needs to get better with when we talk about accuracy, being able to put the ball in a position for guys to be able to catch and run. I think that's when they talk about his accuracy. His general accuracy is not bad. Like just putting in a position for a guy to catch a ball. Like he can do that. And at times just pinpoint. But just like catch and run, opportunities, things like that, he definitely can improve. As far as being stiff and stuff like that, he's not stiff. He's actually pretty elusive. He's not fast. So, do you think ankle injury could negative effects on his mobility? I watched Dak Prescott. He snapped his ankle. It was that way, and he moves fine. Now, everybody's different. Everybody recovers different, so I don't know. But, you know, I guess there's a chance if it doesn't heal correctly, for sure. There's a chance if it doesn't heal correctly. But if it heals fine, then, you know, and you see him kind of moving around, doing things, it looks like everything is on the right path. Croc, if the Vikings and Eagles lose their first playoff games, do we play all 3 games at home before the Super Bowl? If you're the 2 seed, yeah. If you're the 2 seed, you sure do. Or you're saying let's say the 49ers are the 3 seed and the Vikings, well, here's the tough thing. If the 49ers, let's say the Vikings, I don't think that's possible. Because let's say 49ers would have to play one of those 2 teams. I think. No, there's a chance. All right, so the 49ers are the 3 seed. Vikings are 2, and the 1 seed is the Eagles. So you got the Eagles. They'll have a bye, first of all. They have a bye, so they're going to be waiting for a team. And then you got the Vikings, 49ers. So if the Vikings lose that first game to somebody, that team would go play. Yeah, then there's a chance the 49ers can, then if they, there is a possibility of that. I had to talk through it. I don't get a chance to kind of see it out right now, right? So I had to talk through it. So yes, there is a chance of that. Old enough to remember being excited as a kid about OJ. Damn. Yeah, you low-key old. Not a bad thing. Old is good, wisdom, all that stuff. But then he kind of stepped for the 49ers, right? It's like they got like the bad version of him. All right, we're just talking now. We'll be back live tomorrow. I'm going to see if I can get a Seahawk content creator on here. The game's going to be coming up shortly, man. 49ers playing. Hopefully everybody heals up. You got Brock Purdy, you got the oblique injury. We found out all about, everything that kind of goes into that and how it affects him throwing. Deebo Samuel, not out as long as people expect it. But it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. Can't wait to watch the 49ers in Seattle. I was tempted to book a flight. I don't know. I ain't going to do it. But I'm tempted. All right. But appreciate everybody in the chat. Love y'all. Hope everybody has a great day. And be productive. Be productive today. Go outside. Get some work in. Run around. Take a walk. So you don't have like this kind of hate in your heart. All right. We don't want that hate in our heart. Positivity for everybody. And I hope that, everyone in this chat, let's breathe some positivity and good thoughts into everybody, including Mr. 187 here. But I'll see y'all tomorrow. And that's going to do it. Hit the like button, subscribe button on your way out. Peace.
Intercepted. It is picked off by Aaron Rodgers over midfield. He'll run it all the way into the end zone. Touchdown.
Cross Talk TV podcast. Peace.